Sonic's had a history of amazing stages throughout his 35-year run. Whether it was unique visuals, tight gameplay, or even just its music, every stage has had at least one aspect that really made it stand out amongst the others in its own game, or even the series as a whole. However, today I want to talk about the one outlier that I truly believe might just be the most forgettable Sonic stage of all time. Not because it's particularly bad or anything, but just because of how much I struggle to find something that makes it truly unique. The stage I'm talking about is 1-3 from Sonic Frontiers. This stage has always felt like it was some kind of anomaly, not because it's a well-designed, creative level that truly pushed me to my limits, but for the exact opposite reasons. Every single time I play this stage, I can't help but think about just how remarkably unremarkable it is. From its visuals to its level design, everything about this stage just feels so bland. Like it's something I've seen and played 100 times before. Even its name is forgettable. Who except the craziest of Sonic fans, like myself, are gonna hear 1-3 and immediately know what you're talking about. For this video, I want to go through every aspect of this stage and analyze why they failed to create something that feels truly distinct. The first aspect of this stage I want to talk about is the visuals. It takes place in a rather non-descriptive highway, suspended in an endless digital void. Buildings can be seen in the background, but don't really play a role beyond being minimal set dressing. The actual terrain Sonic runs on is largely made up of plain concrete roads, with the only hints of color coming from areas that appear to be under construction, and traffic signs sporadically placed throughout the level. These traffic signs are actually a mishmash of reused assets from Skyscraper Scamper, Speed Highway, and Sunset Heights. The buildings we see in the background are also from Unleashed, and it's actually a pretty interesting story how they've been reused countless times in the series since they first debuted. I've already made a video on them, but I think I'll return to the topic in the near future because there have been further developments with the release of Shadow Generations and Crossworlds. That's pretty much all there is to say about the level theme itself. We've seen plenty of highway and city levels throughout the series, but none have been as bland and generic as this one. They often have a distinct vibe and environmental interactivity, like Speed Highway with its blue skies and run down the building, Radical Highway with its red color scheme and looping bridges, and Empire City with its gold accented buildings and wall running section. The environment in this stage plays absolutely no role in the gameplay. You could switch it out for any other theme in the series and it'd play the exact same way because all you do is run on disconnected roads that exist for no other reason than to be the level. A lot of people still don't even know that it has a proper name, as the official source of confirmation is a Frontier strategy guide. Even Racing Crossworlds refer to it as cyberspace rather than Eternal Highway. Another visual aspect of this level that's rather uninteresting is the camera. Unlike Forces before it, Frontier's cyberspace levels actually shift the camera around quite a bit, but for this stage in particular, it doesn't really do anything to add to the experience. Sure, having some perspective changes is inherently more interesting than having a static camera, but nothing about the 4 perspective shifts in this stage feel like they have a purpose. Usually when a stage changes the camera, it's to highlight a particular action or moment of spectacle, but that's not really what's happening here. What about these moments warrant a change in camera perspective? Nothing much, I presume, seeing as they usually occur when Sonic is just running forward or performing a homing attack. They don't even last long, only sticking around for a few seconds at a time. Even the music doesn't get a chance to leave an impact because it gets cut off before it gets going. But that's par for the course for most of these cyberspace levels. So the visuals of this stage don't offer much to talk about, but what about the level design? Well, this in particular is what always makes me think about just how generic it is. I think we've all noticed that there is a certain formula that the developers follow when designing a stage. Certain level design staples that they can fall back on to fill in parts of the level. Well, this stage feels like it followed the formula to a T, without expanding on them or implementing much of anything in terms of unique level design. It's like if you asked an AI to make a Sonic level and all it did was check things off a list. Oh, a Sonic level usually has homing attack chains, let's add some of those. Oh, a Sonic level usually has a dash hoop at the climax of a hill, let's add some of those. Oh, a Sonic level usually has platforming, let's add some of that. Oh, a Sonic level usually has hazards, let's sprinkle a few spikes around the level. Oh, a Sonic level usually has loops, gotta put one of those in there. In theory, all the elements that make up a Sonic level are there, but it's how they utilize them, or fail to utilize them in this case, that confuses me. Most of the level consists of a top and bottom path, but the way they're designed leaves so much to be desired. The top path is always either a basic homing attack chain or a rail to grind on, and the bottom path is always the most basic platforming you can imagine, or just more homing attack chains. There are a few hidden routes, but even those are super underwhelming or weird. The first is this path beneath one of the platforming sections that's literally just a straight line. The second is one at the very end where you can take a spring that leads into this little pocket just above the end goal. It doesn't really have a purpose for existing besides housing some extra rings, which are pretty much useless, along with maybe possibly tricking the player into wasting their time and failing the S rank? Except not really, seeing as the goal ring is right next to it and the time requirement for that is super forgiving. Another weird area is right at the beginning. When the level starts, you're pretty much forced onto the higher path by this dash hoop and rail, but if you go out of your way to miss it, then you'll end up in this weird little area where the ground ever so slightly rises and declines. With how the chunks of terrain are only slightly taller than Sonic, it almost feels like this section could have been designed for the short hop, but you know, that was removed a long time ago. Speaking of weird terrain, it always bothered me how it seems that the roads you run on just curve up and down for no real reason. Like, what's up with these roads turning into 90-degree hills? Obviously, I know the environments are going to be designed around the gameplay, but even within that logic, most of the terrain could be completely flat and nothing in how the level is played would change. Another weird moment is here where you're once again forced onto a rail, but can take the slower route by homing attacking at the right time onto this balloon. There's nothing interesting down here, just some more basic platforming, but this is where you encounter the only two enemies in the stage. However, calling them enemies is a bit of a stretch seeing as they do literally nothing besides stand there, just more homing attack fodder for the player. The threats of this stage in general are extremely underwhelming, seeing as it's almost completely empty besides these guys and a few spikes that they awkwardly place throughout the terrain. They don't pose much of a challenge, they're just kinda there. There's also this single spring that launches you backwards for whatever reason. Could have been an Eggman spring, but okay. The only people who are gonna have trouble with these are those that have never picked up a controller in their life. So overall, the level design of this stage is just extremely generic, made up almost entirely of elements we've seen a million times before, without bothering to do anything new and unique with them. All this with less than 1 minute of runtime, and you get a level that feels like it comes and goes. No memorable moments or impact on the player, but maybe that is its impact. It's so generic that being generic is what it's known for. At least that's the best I can come up with for what truly is the most forgettable Sonic stage ever. Anyways, I'm truly curious to hear what others think of this level because, as you can guess, it's not winning anyone's spot for favorite. Let me know down below, but without further ado, I'll see you guys next time.